everyone says, like,
a good punch will take you around the block, but a good jab will take you around the world. Or you need to have a good jab.
or work the jab, whatever the hell that means. No one ever explained to me why my jab sucked. I knew my jab sucked. I knew it needed to be better. But no one ever explained the reasoning why it sucked. And it has nothing to do with, like, oh, snap your hand straight out and come straight back. Or I'm not going to tell you about any technical details. There's plenty of videos out there on technical details for making your jab technically better. I'm going to explain the reason that your jab sucks has nothing to do with technical errors or anything you're doing physically. It has to do with something that's in our DNA. Your jab was destined to suck. I'm going to touch on one technical error that is symptomatic of the bigger problem, but more along the lines of tactical errors, because I think if you fix the tactical errors, it won't matter if your technique is trash. In fact, technique is wildly overrated. You watch videos of UFC fighters in slow motion, their jab sucks. They're doing everything wrong. But they're landing it and winning at the highest level because of mentality and tactics, not because their jab is super crisp. Boom, straight out, straight back, turn it over, snap, exhale, like all that, blah, blah, blah. There's other guys that do videos better on that. The reason that your jab sucks is because you think it has to be hard. You think it has to have some, like, oomph into it. And yes, there's such a thing as a stiff jab. But we inherently, when we think about punching things as beginners before we're trained in striking, we think about throwing our body weight into everything. Right? So beginners really like stomping on the jab. Or if their feet are a little heavy, they oftentimes will lean. And this is the technical error that I say is symptomatic of the bigger problem. You're trying to throw body weight into the shot. That's not correct, or really it's unnecessary. And now a lot of people will say, like, oh, but what about a stiff jab where you step it, boom, put a lot of power into it. That's not what I'm talking about. If you know the different types of jabs and you have multiple different jabs, you're already on your way. Great, your jab's awesome. Cool. Maybe you have a stiff jab. Maybe you have a body jab, an up jab, or stepping off, and maybe different ways to jab. Cool. Not talking to you. When coach is yelling at you to get your jab going, whatever that means, or jab more, or he's just yelling jab, work the jab, which that's never been defined anywhere. What is working the jab? I'll tell you, working the jab means getting the most out of your jab. Not every single jab is, boom, touch their face with a very powerful, stiff, straight jab. Sometimes the jab is just to find out how far away they are. You just jab, because if you can touch their hands, you can likely touch their face, head, neck area with other shots. Sometimes the jab is just to get them to put their hands up. You just touch them. And that's the thing, is we get married to the idea that all our punches have to be hard or powerful or impactful, because we think, oh, we're fighting. We should try to hurt them with our hands. Even if you say out loud, oh, I get it. Sometimes just work it, find the range. When you get into sparring, it turns into either or. Why? I said before, you were destined to suck at jabbing. It's not in our DNA to jab. Striking is not a natural. Go ahead. Let's get started in the comments. Striking is not our natural form of combat. How we would resolve issues with each other, because it does permanent damage. That's why our natural instinct is to turn away when we get punched. And you have to train yourself to look into the person that's punching at you. It's not in our nature to box. Our hands were not designed for this. Our bones are very fragile in our hands. They weren't meant for this. And this would be really important for all you reality-based self-defense proponents down there who say, nice pillows. That always cracks me up when they say in the comments, they call boxing gloves pillows, right? Even if we were talking bare knuckle, or if we were talking eye gouging, the type of skills it requires to jab somebody are the same type of skills required to claw somebody's eyes out. But these bones are not built for this. They're not, they can do this, but they weren't built without significant conditioning to do a ton of damage. But that's not the purpose of the jab. If you can wrap your brain around the idea that you need to ignore your instincts to try to put this on them, and realize that even in a full contact fight, little flicks like this serve purposes of finding range, getting their guard up, figuring out how far away. You can land your harder strikes, it's okay that your jab sucks. It was always going to suck. Now, what about when your coach is saying, jab, like get your jab going, work the jab? He's not talking about landing jabs. He's talking about jabbing more, literally more. Not better, not like at the right time, not at any certain time, just literally jab more and do it right now. Because you'll be like this far away from your bad guy. You guys will be going and coach is yelling jab and you're like, okay. That's never going to happen. And then what are you worried about? The other guy heard him? If you're an amateur or new or beginner, the other guy is not like calculating your trajectory of your punches based on what your coach is yelling like in real time. Like everybody sucks, everybody's tired, everybody's scared. Your coach says jab, he just wants you to start jabbing. Just get that arm loose. Just get the reads. Every time you throw this, even from this far away, he's going to do something. Your brain's going to process that information and you'll be able to make better decisions off of it. Sometimes even subconsciously. Just get that going and you'll see that he does this. You're like, okay, that means I can do this and advance. Or you might get this going and see that he does nothing. And then you say, oh, that means I can step into a hard one. Just literally work them. Work the jab. More accurately, work your opponent with the jab. So just get it going. Just start throwing it. Sometimes you might touch them, sometimes you might not. I think that might help some people. Hopefully that helps you. Comment below if it did or if it didn't. If you've always struggled with knowing what your coach means when he says work the jab or any of that other coaching terminology that often has no context and doesn't make sense to anyone that it needs to make sense to and only makes sense to the people that already get it. That's the way I like to explain things. Now, I've got some courses on Teachable. If you want to check those out, there's a link in the description below. But if you want more fitness tips, self-defense techniques, gear reviews, as well as concepts and principles that make you hard to hurt, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications.